So let's get on to my demo, the Design Express. Okay, so let's think about a situation. I thought of a most taxing situation. What if your boss is doing a really important presentation on the Power Platform? He's got important people coming over, and suddenly he comes to you and says, "I've got this great idea. I know there's only 15 minutes to go, but how about you help us out a little bit and get get me an app together to take the drink orders as people are coming in." Um, so I've drawn up on the whiteboard and taken a picture for you of what I think the form should look like. Here it is. How about we get an app together? You got 15 minutes. So let's see how we go with getting this app together based on what our bosses provided for us. So let's go to Power Apps, and you'll notice there's this new um, fast getting started thing here where we can actually use our image to get our Power App going. So let's click on that. There's a little warning to say like black and white is better than colors and things like that. So if you are designing this from PowerPoint or some other design tool, we're going to create a picture from that. It's best to keep it in black and white. It makes it easier for the AI. Now let's move on. What are we going to call it? Well, I'm going to call it AA drink order so that it's easy to find after we've done it. We're going to load our image up. So we've got our image. You'll notice down here that the format changed from tablet to phone. It recognizes that I've got a fairly up and down version rather than a widescreen tablet type of view. So it's recommending the phone. I can switch that back to tablet if I wish to, but I'll just go with what it's recommending. We can have it on a phone ready for people to use when they come in. And here you see what the AI has already done for us. It's broken up our form into text labels and text input. Not perfect, so let's make a few quick adjustments so that we can make sure that it does what we want it to. So our first text label should be 2 different labels, so let's make sure we fix that. Create 2 labels here, text label. Okay, that's fixed that. It's missed one of our inputs as well, so let's fix that as well. Make that a text input. Okay, that's really good. Okay, now this date one, we have the ability to already call that one out and call it a date picker rather than just text input. So let's change that over. So now we've got a date picker there for our date. Okay, now that's looking pretty good already. So let's move on to the next stage, and that is to create our Dataverse table to store our data in so that we know what orders have been selected. So let's get that underway. Okay, so you can see here it's matched up our labels and inputs. Looks like it's done a good job there. Okay, that's pretty good. What we can do though is on the sugars one, that's really a number. So let's change that to a number rather than text. So there we go. And we also know in Dataverse that emails can be an own special thing too. So rather than straight text, let's call it an email and say that. Okay, we look over here to the right, we can see the table it's going to create. All looking pretty good. It's picked up the names pretty good there, and it's got now got the data types exactly how we want them. So let's hit on next. Okay, one last chance to have a quick look at the actual table it's going to create. We'd have a chance here to really fiddle with this if we really wanted, but we're not going to do that today. We're quickly wanting to get something together. So let's just start creating our app. Now this can take a few minutes. So while we're waiting, you can probably think of other applications for this. Like we've used a whiteboard thing here to quickly get something together. But you'll notice that when the app comes up, that it pretty much is going to format it like it saw it. So you can imagine also that you could have sat down with somebody, or they could have sat down themselves in PowerPoint and come up with this really wonderful form with data all over the place and all lined up with the entry fields, and they want it just like that, and it's got all the data they want. And so rather than having to manually put it all in and work out what you need and get a Dataverse table started, you could use this app, and you can, like, we had to make some adjustments because of my poor drawing on the whiteboard, but if it was coming out of PowerPoint slides or some other kind of design tool, you can imagine that the AI is going to pick it up rather accurately and have very little need for adjustments, just changing perhaps the data fields and stuff like that, where they're specialized data fields like date picker, as we saw. Okay, it looks like it's starting to come up now. So we've almost got our app up and the first pass of it ready to go. Hopefully we'll only need a few little further adjustments and it'll be ready for the boss to use already. So let's see what it gives to us. There we go. Okay, that's almost looking pretty good. I think I would, let's quickly make this a bit bigger because it's supposed to be our heading. 26, and let's make it bold. Okay, so that's clear. All our fields are nicely lined up. That all looks good. This submit down here was supposed to be a button, so perhaps if we insert an actual button and replace that field with a button. So let's put that down here nicely in the middle. Call the button submit like the boss wanted. And let's just get rid of the text field that it's put. Okay, now we've got submit. Now there's just a couple of other little things, and that's the connection of our button up so that it actually updates our form. So how do we do that? Well, we can see over here that the form is called Form 1. So what we want to do is when this button's selected, what we need is we need to submit the data that's been put in Form 1. So let's change this so that it's got the appropriate thing. Submit form 1. Okay, that's good. Okay, one more thing just to be get all this up and going is once we've successfully submitted it, we want to reset our form. So let's do that as well. So we get another blank form for the next person to use. So let's do that. Okay, on success, let's reset the form. Okay, excellent. Now I think we're probably ready to go. We've almost got it. Let's give it one test just to make sure it's doing what we expect it to do. Here we go. I'll put in my name, my email. Let's just make something up for now. Outlook.com. Show you how the date picker works, proper date picker. So let's, just for fun, choose tomorrow instead. Location, I'm going to say I'm sitting in the back row. What drink do I want? Okay, flat white. What size? Large. Don't want to tell the presenter, but I want to make sure I stay awake. 0 sugars for me, and skinny milk. Okay, let's hit the submit button. Hopefully this works. Submit, blank the form. Okay, now where do we go? So we better go see if we can find our new table and make sure that it's got the data in it that we just entered, and then we know we're all ready to go. There we go. Here's our new table, AA drink order already set up for us. For those that haven't seen it, this is the new way that you look at Dataverse table when it first comes in. The actual data's on the front. We can see that it's got our name, but where's the other data? Let's just quickly select the actual entered data so that you get a feel. So we'll try and give it some order. Name, email, date, drink, location, milk type. What else did we have in there? The size. Did I miss anything? Sugars. There we go. I think that's everything. I say that, you'll see that that's now displayed. We can see the data that we entered. It's all there. So our app's actually ready to go. So we better get out of our little test environment, save it, file, save, and we can also now publish it so that it's available for people to use. And that's effectively it. Hopefully we got that all done in the 15 minutes that the boss wanted, but you can see how quick and easy we can get an accurate app up and running with data connected to it very quickly. Perhaps you won't use it for the end product, but you'd be able to get a prototype really quickly going based on exactly what's been designed. And I'm sure, having seen it in action, you've got many other ideas on what we could potentially do with such a quick way to get an app up and running, data and all. And that's the presentation itself, Yeoman. But if anyone's got any questions or want to raise their hand, unmute themselves, or whatever they'd like to do, and we can discuss it. Otherwise, we can move on to our next demo.
Nice one, Bill. Just a quick question. I noticed that you'd drawn that up by hand. I'm assuming that if someone created something in Excel or a form in Excel or whatever, the accuracy greatly improves.
Yep. So the only trick is it takes a picture, so you've got to save it as a picture format, but the accuracy would be very high. Like, I wouldn't have had to make those adjustments at all with something that's come out of Excel, or, like I said, in PowerPoint, or any kind of design tool really that you use, where you've typed in everything and boxes are really clear or lines are really clear to show where the inputs are to go, is going to come out almost always 100% spot on with what you've entered or provided it.
I actually had a issue with a more cluttered form for a customer. That was their leave form, and it was quite cluttered. So when I went through this with Design Express, it tended to be a bit more inaccurate. So I think there's a few more keys to it, such as, if the layout is a bit more open and organized and less cluttered, I think you'll get a better result.
Yeah, so which should be a goal anyway, I think. Yeoman, if you're designing a form, you might start with what they've got, but you might want to redesign it a little bit. But you can also imagine using this with existing forms. If they've got a nice existing form and they just want the same format in the app, you could take a picture of that form and bring it in. But yeah, cluttered, because you got to remember the AI has got to match up. It's the matching up of text with where its input field is. So if it's a little bit too cluttered, it could get that a little wrong. But you saw how easy it is really to just move things around and put them where you want them anyway. So it definitely gets you up and going quickly, even with a cluttered form, because you notice that, like, if you didn't have data base to connect it to before, that it's very quickly to do that. If you do have a database to connect it to, then obviously it will take you a little bit longer, as you got to connect up the entries with your database that's already existing. But that's not overly difficult to do once you're in the Power App Designer, is where you would do that.
Yeah, good points there.